Good afternoon, welcome to Brothers of Men. I'm Jeffrey Russell. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the voter recount. Today, Jill Stein successfully requested a recount in the state of Wisconsin, prompting many people to raise an eyebrow to the reason behind this. Now, with two states left, Pennsylvania and Michigan, many Trump supporters are beginning to wonder if the Democratic Party will be able to steal the victory from the American people. Stein, weeks before the election, was quoted as saying, "I would sleep better at night under a Trump presidency," speaking of the strong words Hillary had against Russia. Now, many people are wondering if she's trying to get on the good side of the Democratic Party by being the patsy to raise the money for the recount, which is now over $5 million. Now, Stein's campaign worked for months to raise only $3 million, yet somehow she raised almost double the amount in less than a week. So who is funding the recount? The same people who funded Hillary's campaign. Now, doing this, having Stein take the spotlight for this recount when she came in last in Wisconsin, keeps the public eye off of Clinton, which gives her plausible deniability. Now, in order for a recount to be approved, two things are needed: money, check, and reasonable suspicion, of which there is none. The closest thing they have to that is a computer science professor who stated that it was possible that the system was hacked. But I thought Obama said that could never ever happen. So why these states? Why not any of the states that Hillary won by a much smaller margin than that of these? She won New Hampshire by about 3,000 votes, Nevada by less than 10, 20 in Maine, and 40 in Minnesota. Another interesting thing about this is the state of Michigan. Michigan is a paper ballot state. The only machines used in the state is the optical reader to scan in the ballots. Nothing is hooked up to the internet, said one government official. Also, the state has had 2 counts already. One quick count the night of the election, and a second whose results were released this week. Now, the chances of them completely missing 20 to 30,000 votes, all in favor of Hillary, is not even worth the calculation. However, with Hillary getting 6 out of 6 coin tosses last year, crazier things have happened. So what do we know? We know that the DNC has admitted voter fraud and election fraud, having a double blind to keep the Clintons under the umbrella of plausible deniability. We know that the Clintons will stop at nothing to obtain the power they so covet. So what is the reason for the flip of Stein? Blackmail, or just trying to get back on the good side of the Democratic Party in hopes of landing a lucrative position? Whatever the reason, we, as Americans, cannot let this underhanded conspiracy stand. The only voter fraud uncovered has been in favor of Hillary. And if you think they aren't bold enough to try to take this election away from the American people, think again, because that is exactly what they are doing. What I want to know is, what are we doing about this? What are the people who worked so hard to get Trump elected doing to make sure this recount isn't sabotaged in order to steal this election and give it to the candidate that the elite want? Unfortunately, other than on the alt-right, I haven't heard much from the media or from Trump. I think Trump should have states like Virginia looked into, a state where felons were given a pardon in order to vote, as well as Obama telling illegal immigrants that it was perfectly fine to vote, as well as the over 3 million dead registered voters. Now, if you think all of this is a conspiracy theory, think again. Deb Harris, who is a proud Democrat, came out with amazing stats on the days following the election. In some major Democratic counties, there was 100% turnout, sometimes more, and all of them voted Hillary. Another amazing coincidence. I guess Hillary is just the luckiest woman alive. If I were her, I would go buy a few lottery tickets and leave politics to someone else. Now, if the turnout and the voter percentage doesn't jar you, let me just say, that never happens. The best you can hope for on voter turnout is 70 to 75%, and the chances of getting 100% just isn't plausible. Not to mention that the polls were open hours later in states like North Carolina, in heavy Democratic counties, in order to get in as many Democratic votes as possible to make sure the state went to Hillary. Whether the votes were legal or not is another matter. Blackboxvoting.org has stated that Hillary stole 5 states with fractional voting, the back door to the voting hubs, which you can see on blackboxvoting.org. Now, for those of you on the left, let me explain something to you. I understand that your candidate lost, and for that you have my sincere condolences. However, at the end of the day, we are all on the same team. We should all stand for fairness in our elections, and this election season has shown us some of the ugly things that go on behind the scenes. We all need to work together to get the corruption out of our elections and leave the decision up to the people. Turn the tables around for a moment. Let's say that Trump has had massive voter fraud take place in his favor, but still lost the election. And then Jill Stein tries to get recounts in states that were fairly close but went to Hillary. Would you stand by and let the election be stolen away from you? Or say it sometime in the future, and the election is stolen from a candidate who clearly won? Just because you may not like the outcome doesn't mean that you, or anyone else for that matter, get to change the outcome. The integrity of our elections is one of the last pillars of freedom and democracy we have left in this country. And if we sacrifice it now for your instant gratification, we will never get it back. This will be the election long remembered as the last thing resembling a democracy we will ever have. So please, call your local and state government. Call your local news station. We are the people responsible for keeping our republic sacred. And it is we the people and our children and our grandchildren who will reap the consequences of our inaction if we choose to do nothing. This falls on us, all of us. Doesn't matter what side you're on. It doesn't matter what color tie you wear. This affects us all. So please, do the right thing. Stamp out voter fraud and election fraud. Stand up for your children. I thank you very much. This has been Brothers of Men. Be good to each other.